Putin also successfully tested a nuclear-powered drone and announced the trial of a nuclear-capable missile. So
that's
those
a totally
reports
different situation.
I think those reports are coming out, and he wants to send a message a signal of strength.
But those are not even remotely the same thing. I mean, we also test the underlying weaponry that has the potential to carry nuclear weapons, but we don't actually test the weapons.
In today's video, Abby Phillip destroys Lyndia Moynihan on CNN's Table for Five after Lyndia tries to defend Trump's plan to resume nuclear weapons testing, breaking a 33-year moratorium. Abby fires back, exposing how reckless and uninformed that move really is, risking a new global arms race and putting millions at risk just to score political points. While Lyndia pushes the peace through strength line, Abby cuts through the spin with hard facts and logic that leave no room for debate. So let's dive in and watch how Abby Phillip shuts down Lyndia Moynihan on Table for Five.
So this is one of those weird issues where you're like, where did this even come from? But I also wonder, I mean, lots of questions here, but I want to play what Trump said aboard Air Force One on Friday about the nuclear testing. Listen to this.
Are you talking about literally resuming underground nuclear detonation tests?
You'll find out very soon, but we're going to do some testing, yeah. Other countries do it. If they're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Okay, you can't clarify whether you'll resume.
I'm not going to say yet. I mean, I know exactly what we're doing, where we're doing it, but other countries are doing it.
Again, I'm not sure what he's talking about because other countries really aren't doing it. Nuclear testing hasn't happened from Russia or China since the 90s also. So where is this coming from, and why is he suddenly putting nuclear testing, which actually the moratorium is designed to be a part of a disarmament posture for the whole globe? Why is he putting that back on the table for all of us, Lydia?
Yeah, well, first, I think it's important context to note that Donald Trump has a platform of peace through strength. I think he's arguably brokered more peace deals than any other president in modern history. So I think that's important to be aware of as we're having this conversation. And the peace through strength is such an important element of this. So he wants to deter China or Russia from potentially being more aggressive. And I would note, actually, this comes as obviously he was headed to discussions with President Xi. But this week, Putin also successfully tested a nuclear-powered drone and announced the trial of a nuclear-capable missile. So
that's
those
a
reports
totally different situation.
I think those reports are coming out, and he wants to send a message a signal of strength.
But those are not even remotely the same thing. I mean, we also test the underlying weaponry that has the potential to carry nuclear weapons, but we don't actually test the weapons.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it's that Trump doesn't understand this, that he hasn't been briefed, but then the reporting that he's blindsiding his own team, also deeply troubling. We're talking about nuclear weapons. This is not like patty cake.
What Abby Phillip is getting at in this exchange is something way too many people overlook. This isn't just about flexing strength, it's about global stability. When someone like Trump casually throws out the idea of resuming nuclear testing, it's not a power move, it's a reckless gamble. Nuclear tests aren't just symbolic, they have real, devastating consequences. We're talking about environmental contamination, radiation exposure, and the unraveling of decades of international trust. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty was created for a reason, to keep the world from sliding back into a Cold War-style arms race, where peace through strength really just means fear through force. And let's be honest, Lyndia's defense of peace through strength sounds good on paper, but history tells a different story. The US has maintained the most powerful nuclear arsenal on Earth for decades, yet that hasn't stopped global instability or prevented conflict. Real peace doesn't come from detonating bombs, it comes from diplomacy, transparency, and sustained international cooperation. Abby's point, even if she doesn't say it outright, is that leadership means preventing escalation, not provoking it. Even defense experts like David Sanger and the Federation of American Scientists have warned that restarting nuclear testing could trigger an immediate global reaction, with Russia, China, and even North Korea potentially following suit. That's not deterrence, that's chaos waiting to happen. So when Abby pushes back on Trump's vague, impulsive talk, she's not just fact-checking, she's protecting a global standard that keeps everyone safer. Because the truth is, testing nuclear weapons again wouldn't make America stronger. It would make the world infinitely more dangerous.
To your point, I had a chance to speak with David Sanger, who is the nuclear weapons correspondent for The Times, and he said exactly what you're saying. Perhaps Trump is confused with this delivery system, this vehicle that you just spoke of that Putin has, and he thinks perhaps maybe it's the same as testing a nuclear weapon, but they are not the same. And if this person stands on this platform of peace, as you just speak of, this doesn't promote peace. In fact, that alerts everyone else that it is time to start testing our nuclear. If you're going to dust yours off,
that's what they're saying. So here's what the Kremlin says. Up until now, we have not known that anyone was testing. If someone withdraws from the moratorium, Russia will act accordingly. Iranian foreign minister. A nuclear-armed bully is resuming testing of atomic weapons. The announcement of a resumption of nuclear tests is a regressive and irresponsible move and a serious threat to international peace and security. I don't think we should be taking lectures from Iran, but also why are we doing this when we have been the ones leading and asking other countries not to test?
Well, there's a lot of categories of things that America used to lead on and now is not. We've decided, as part of this sort of populist revolt on the right and left, but now governing so on the right, that we are not so fond of multinational, multilateral institutions, of those treaties, of those organizations. And so we are selectively, systematically withdrawing from a lot of them in such a way so it's no longer a unipolar world. It is a world that everyone has their little spheres of influence.
What do you think is the consequence, though, of all of this?
Well, it's predictable. I mean, you could have seen this coming 10 years ago when Trump first came on the world stage and talked to his generals at the time about possibly withdrawing from NATO or withdrawing from Article 5 duties to defend other NATO countries when attacked. What is going to happen is that he does believe in peace through strength, absolutely, but he also likes to be a little bit unpredictable and erratic because he thinks that way he can leverage and sort of scare people to the table. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, there's going to be more of an arms race and a nuclear arms race as a result.
Or it makes him look out of touch. Because it makes him look like he doesn't understand his own nuclear.
Honestly, hearing that exchange just shows how dangerous this whole unpredictability equals strength idea really is. Let's get real. Nuclear weapons aren't bargaining chips, and playing games with global security isn't strategy, it's recklessness. The US hasn't done a live nuclear test in over 3 decades for a reason. We don't need to. We've got the most advanced simulation tech, and the Department of Energy Stockpile Stewardship program constantly ensuring the arsenal works perfectly without setting off another explosion. Restarting tests now isn't about safety, it's about ego and trying to look tough. And let's not ignore the hypocrisy. For decades, the US has lectured countries like North Korea and Iran about nuclear restraint. But if we start testing again, how can we possibly expect anyone else to listen? That completely destroys our credibility on the world stage. The whole idea of America leading by example just goes out the window. There's also the human side people forget. Those old tests left behind real victims. Communities near test sites are still suffering from radiation exposure, contaminated soil, and long-term health issues. Do we really want to go back to that just to prove a point? Cari and Abby are absolutely right to push back here. Leadership isn't about being loud or unpredictable, it's about being responsible. Nuclear policy isn't something you handle like a business deal. It's about protecting lives and preventing the kind of catastrophe we might never come back from.
Nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, or his own various agencies, because as you pointed out, this testing is actually done by the Department of Energy. But look, I find it very ironic that a couple months ago, Donald Trump's own nuclear official in charge of testing Syracuse, New York's very own Brandon Williams, actually said, I would not advise testing. This is just a couple months ago before Congress. And so look, we clearly don't need a global arms race. President Trump is simply wrong. The last time there was explosive nuclear testing, it was done by North Korea in 2017. And so none of us as Americans, as global citizens, we don't need a global arms race.
Maybe it's as simple as being just unpredictable. Maybe that's a weapon
always,
for him.
that is
Maybe it's
always-
just as
He likes to govern by
simple. It's
That's
just
always
like,
the excuse.
create the
rationale.
chaos and see what happens next.
Very
Have,
on brand.
have any of you guys seen this Netflix movie?
Yes. The House of
Yeah,
Dynamite.
The House of Dynamite.
I understand
Yeah.
one doesn't sleep afterwards.
Well,
Yeah, it's a very unnerving
it
movie.
is very unnerving.
And it's about it's about our leaders, what they would do, honestly, in a nuclear crisis, and it's not reassuring
At
to say the
all.
least. but it's actually interesting because that movie prompted the Department of Defense to push back on it because, spoiler alert, in the film, the interceptors that are supposed to stop these nuclear bombs don't work, and then they said. The Missile Defense Agency said that is based on earlier prototypes, and today's interceptors have displayed 100% accuracy in testing for more than a decade. So they're not thrilled about this movie, but other parts of this movie people should be concerned about, which is that our political leaders, the ones who are not like experts in this stuff, are going to be the ones deciding who lives and who dies in a situation of a nuclear attack, and that's a very serious question. And Trump, I don't know, it's not very reassuring that Trump doesn't even know what agency is responsible.
Or that someone within his agency is saying that he doesn't think that it's smart. Brandon Williams saying that it's smart to do it. All of these things say that it leads to, back to your earlier point of unpredictability, and perhaps he feels like ruling by chaos does keep other countries at bay. I don't know. You asked a really great question. What is the consequence? I don't know what the consequence would be. My hope would think that it would be nothing but disaster for us. Nothing great can come out of it.
Yeah, Donald Trump seems to want to continue to govern like he's negotiating a real estate deal in Manhattan. But at the end of the day, this is the safety and prosperity of hundreds of millions of Americans and the world.
I mean, Lydia, how do you feel about Trump putting our nuclear posture back on the table after all this time? We fought so hard to get out of the Cold War, where everybody was hiding under their desks, concerned that there was a bomb going to be dropped on them. Are we really trying to get back there again?
No, I don't think we're trying to get back there. And I think I would caveat a lot of what he's saying with knowing that he doesn't want war. He's prioritizing peace. And I think, to your point, sometimes he chooses to be a little erratic to keep people on their toes. I would say that's probably what's going on here.
He is also, it should be noted, has said several times in the past, and I actually believe him when he says this, that he would love to see a nuclear-free world. Ronald Reagan used to say the same things in the 1980s. Democrats mocked him, but we've come to understand that actually was something that he genuinely believed in. I think Trump has that idea first, but it is in sort of in incoherent tension with the way that he is.
That exchange really shows how dangerous this kind of mindset is. Talking about bringing back nuclear testing like it's some harmless negotiation tactic, that's wild. We've gone more than 30 years without detonating a single nuke, and for good reason. The US doesn't need to prove its power by lighting up the desert again. We've got the most advanced simulation technology in the world to ensure our arsenal works without creating another environmental and global crisis. Even Trump's own nuclear testing official, Brandon Williams, literally told Congress that testing again would be a bad idea. That says a lot. And honestly, people forget how devastating those past tests were. Generations of families in Nevada, the Marshall Islands, and other testing sites are still dealing with cancers, birth defects, and poisoned land because of those explosions. Restarting tests isn't strength. It's recklessness disguised as strategy, and calling it peace through unpredictability doesn't make it any less dangerous. Nuclear deterrence isn't a game of poker. You don't bluff with weapons that can end civilization. The US used to lead by example. We pushed for global non-proliferation and urged countries like Iran and North Korea to stop testing. If we suddenly flip that and start testing again, how can we expect anyone else to take us seriously? Cari Champion and Abby Phillip are spot on to push back. Real leadership isn't about chaos, it's about control, responsibility, and keeping the world from spiraling back into another arms race. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.